Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Kalen and I'm back at another video. In this video, we have the classified high round guide. So originally I was going to do a video which was ranking all perks from worst to best. I had some issues with uploading that video to YouTube, and that video will end up being delayed. So I decided I'm going to do this video next, and hopefully I'll get it uploaded as soon as possible. Anyways, I ended up getting to round 60 and then I just quit the game. And I think I have enough information to give you guys a complete guide on how to get to a high round on this map. So yeah, if you guys like that, please leave a like and subscribe, as that really helps out the channel and I really appreciate it. Let's get into the video. So in terms of the class loadout, there was one thing that is very necessary for the strategy, and that's the Wraithfires. Wraithfires are going to be your they're going to be your saviors during this game, and they're going to be one of the most important things for your high rounds. I'll tell you guys what you need to use them for later, but if you're watching the strategy, you can kind of see what I'm doing with the Wraithfire specifically. But yeah, Wraithfires are an absolute must for this strategy. In terms of perks, I'd highly recommend Time Slip as your tonic perk, because that gives you the modifier of increased specialist weapon and increased elixir recharge, which is extremely helpful. And just the main reason why we're running it is increased trap cooldown, which is just traps are going to be highly used this game. This trap right here that's on right now, that trap is going to be used a lot this game, and getting that recharged as quickly as possible is extremely helpful. So Time Slip definitely a must during this strategy. Stamina Up, I think, is obviously any training high round strategy is going to want to run Stamina Up, and Dying Wish obviously gives you additional life, so that is clearly very helpful there as well. And then the Brew perk, I think, is kind of, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be your Brew perk, but just your fourth perk. It can kind of be whatever you want. It's a toss-up. I think Quick Revive is what I'm running in this game, but you could make a good argument for Victorious Tortoise or like Electric Cherry or something like that, or Mule Kick. I don't know, like any of those perks are certainly viable for high rounds, but I personally chose Quick Revive, and I found most success while running Quick Revive. But yeah, also Specialist Weapon, I think it's also a toss-up. I think there's multiple ones that are really good. I think all four of them are pretty good, except for the Hellfire. I wouldn't recommend using that, but I think the other three, the Path of Sorrows, Overkill, and the Ragnarok DG5s, all make a case for being good for high rounds, and they all are. The Overkill is good for camping, but as you can see, since there's that elevator right there, Overkill is really good for when you're standing in that elevator. So I could see you running Overkill, and Ragnarok DG5s are obviously, the Ragnaroks are the Ragnaroks, so they're very helpful. But I personally decided to run the Path of Sorrows. I felt that it was really good for my strategy, but I think you can make a case for the other three as well. But if you want to go for something that's safest as possible, I think the Path of Sorrows is the safest. But if you disagree, then feel free to run something else, basically what I'm trying to say. In terms of elixirs, I generally have only used classics. I haven't really been using megas that much. I'm kind of waiting until I get a large stock of them, and then I'll start using them a bunch. But in terms of, if you're going to use megas, then kind of just use whatever you want. But if you are using classics, I would definitely recommend Anywhere But Here, just in case you're like in a situation where you might die. Arsenal Accelerator, recharging your specialist, is super important, and your specialist weapon is very crucial to the strategy as well. That's also one of the reasons why Time Slip is so good, and why Time Slip is the tonic perk instead of Stamina Up or Quick Revive. And the other ones are more of a toss-up. I decided to run Equipment, which is recharges your Wraithfires, just gives you 2 of them instantly, so it's kind of nice because Wraithfires are also very useful for the strategy. And I also decided to run Temporal Gift. Temporal Gift is actually not really that necessary. The only power up that it's really useful for on later rounds is insta kill, and that's you're not necessarily guaranteed to get that power up. So I don't think Temporal Gift is a must for the strategy. You can toss it up for like a Mega Gobblegum or another classic one. I'm not really sure what other classic Gobblegum you would run, to be honest. But yeah, it's kind of up to you which one you would like to pick. Anyways, I believe that's everything have under the belt. Starting weapon, you can just start with whatever you wanted. I decided to start with the Saga Millimeter because I find it's just really good for early rounds, and it's actually coincidentally enough the gun that I'm going to be using for later rounds as well. But that's mainly just because of its location on the wall. I would recommend just a wall gun that's near the deserted hallway as one of your weapons, because you just want to constantly have that double pack-a-punch ability active combined with it being on the wall gun. The double pack-a-punch ability I would recommend is Brain Rot, and obviously have the gun at fully upgraded with the maximum damage possible. And there's other nearby wall guns such as the shotgun, but I don't really like using shotguns just for the sake of double pack-a-punch abilities. I think SMGs work much better. And I believe there's another wall gun near there as well, which I think you can use as well. I forget what it's called exactly. I think it starts with an E. It's like Askarot or something like that. I forget exactly, but you can certainly make the case for that weapon as well. It's also in a very good location, but I simply like this weapon because you can put attachments on it. That's really the main reason, and you can't with the other weapon. But yeah, that's your first weapon. I'd just recommend a wall gun like the Eskarot or the SOG Millimeter, fully upgraded with Brain Rot. And then the first gun is, of course, the Winter's Howl. Like, obviously, you're going to want to run that. Winter's Howl's not really going to be used that much as a primary killing weapon. You can use it like that if you just fire a few shots into the zombies. It'll eventually kill them. It's actually pretty decent on later rounds just due to the amount of ammo that it has. But I'm going to mainly use it for just if you get in sticky situations or you get stuck in corners. So yeah, obviously build the shield, and once you do that, also make sure at the beginning of your game, you do not want to open this door that I have closed right now. It goes directly from the spawn to the deserted hallway, which is the deserted hallway is the room that I'm in right now. You do not want to open that door. To get to this location, you want to walk all the way around to the forget what they're called, but they're like the areas that weren't in the original 5 map. So the room with the buildable and then the one with the brew perk. Those two, you want to get to this area through those doors instead of just going straight through from spawn to the deserted hallway. You want to keep that close because that makes this strategy a lot better. And yeah, and once you do that, obviously I'd recommend that you find the trap parts. If you are wondering where the trap parts are, one of them's in the pig room. Like, it's just going to be in 3 random locations. I just recommend looking around. Like, I don't even have all the locations memorized, but I just know that the 3 of the locations for the possible trap part are in the pig room, and then the second trap part is not necessary, but just in case you want to do it for whatever. It's in the second floor where one of the DEFCONs is. It's kind of that secret office room that wasn't actually a room in the map 5, but it's actually now a room. That area, I forget what it's called, but there is a trap part in there. Just look around and you'll eventually find it. I didn't have too much trouble finding it, even though I don't know all the locations by heart. So yeah, once you want to do that, let's get into the actual strategy itself. I believe the strategy is pretty effective once you get to round 30 plus. You can use it earlier than that, but you're not going to be very efficient. As but anyways, basically what you want to do is start turning on the trap, and once you do that, stand on this side of the trap, and the zombies are only going to come from 3 different barriers. So it allows you to, get a pretty good train. Even though this is a tight area, the fact that they only come from 3 places makes it pretty easy to loop around. I just recommend just, avoid zombies and do what you kind of do. You're gonna kind of see what I do in this gameplay to kind of help you out, but I think just running around in sort of a circle, not exactly a circle because the zombies could potentially interfere with that, but just bend the circle when you need to, whenever there's zombies in your way. But generally I'm running in a counterclockwise direction, and while the trap is on, those zombies that you're looping around, I'd recommend just throwing the Wraithfire as I'm doing right now. You basically just circle around. The Wraithfire does infinite damage as long as the zombies are in the Wraithfire for a certain amount of time, so the Wraithfire won't instantly kill them on super late rounds, but as long as you just circle them around this, the trail that the Wraithfire leaves, the zombies will eventually die. And basically once the first Wraithfire goes away, then the second one, and then once the second one goes away, I'd recommend just using Brain Rot to kill off the remaining ones. And then by this time the trap should have turned off, and so basically what you want to do is pull out your specialist weapon and just slay the zombies as I'm doing here. I am killing a lot of them in the other room. One thing, I would just make sure that while you're doing that, if you are gonna kill, stretch all the way to the other room with your specialist weapon, just make sure that once the specialist weapon recharges, then you'll be able to have a safe trip to the elevator. There won't be any zombies in the way of the elevator or anything like that. And then once you go in the elevator, I'd recommend that you use the elevator. As you can see, the gameplay is speaking faster than my words right now. You basically go down the elevator, and that will despawn the zombies. Wait a second or two, and then you're pretty much gonna go up, and then suddenly the trap is going to be waiting for you ready. And once the trap turns on, again, that's going to take out most of the zombies that are coming, because most of the zombies come from that direction. And you basically just rinse, cycle, and repeat. One thing I would recommend is just some of the tricky tips. If your specialist weapon isn't quite ready yet, I'd recommend you just take additional elevator runs. So just go down the elevator to the 2nd floor, then go back up, and then just do that again keep doing that until the trap turns on again. And you should have enough time to be able to trigger the trap once you do this. And then eventually you will get your specialist back with the Brain Rot and the Wraithfires. I also recommend doing a Brain Rot before you throw your Wraithfires, just at the beginning of the round once you turn on that trap, so that you get a Brain Rot at the beginning of the trap's life cycle and then at the end of the trap's life cycle. I found that was the approximate timing for when the Brain Rot would activate. Also, if you're not able to turn any Brain Rot zombies because it hasn't been enough time yet, and you don't have any Wraithfires, and you're still there's a lot of zombies coming along the trap area, the trap's still on, and you're okay, I feel uncomfortable. What do? If you really feel uncomfortable, just pull the Winter's Howl. But even so, you should be able to train the zombies pretty fine, without too much problem. Because again, they only come from 3 areas, and as long as you are very efficient with your training, so you just use the entire area, make sure you're walking around, you're walking on the side as much as possible, using the entire length of that area, you should be fine. I don't do that too well in this gameplay, to be honest. Sometimes I was just kind of lazy and I just like run near the edge of the room, but I wouldn't quite be on the edge, and that would get me in trouble a little bit later in this game. But yeah, and I didn't down until like I believe like it was in the mid 60s, or not mid 60s, mid 50s. Yeah, mid 50s. I found that round 50 was when when things started getting interesting. Like, it was actually not too hard for the first 50 rounds. Generally, training the zombies was pretty consistent. But then suddenly on round 50, I found that the zombies, like, I don't know if it's just me, but for some reason the zombies got super, super fast. Like they were going beyond, like, sprinting. They weren't just sprinting. They were, like, Usain Bolt. Like, they were just ridiculous. Like, I wouldn't call this Usain Bolt level, I'd call it insane Bolt level. And yeah, so I really just that's during that time, I think you really just got to be super, super accurate with your training. You got to be like very, very perfect in order to do it. Just be very precise and accurate. Like the first 50 rounds you can get away with a little bit more, but after that you definitely need to really be careful. Make sure you don't put yourself in any dangerous situations. Obviously, use your gobblegums as much as possible, or not your gobblegums, elixirs. You know, once one is activated, use it and get its effect. The only one that I'd wait on is Anywhere But Here. Use that once you're trapped or something like that. And yeah, if there were some situations where like my specialist was like just about ready. It wasn't quite ready yet, but it was like almost ready, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna fire a few Winner's Howl shots, and then they'll give me just enough to recharge my specialist weapon. That's completely fine as well. That's definitely something that you could do. The Winner's Howl, you can use it as an offensive weapon. I was using it very conservatively in this game, but I think realistically you can use it pretty offensively and use it pretty recklessly until you get like 30 shots or less. Once you get to 30 shots or less, I think you should start conserving ammo, but I think even before that you can consider just hoarding up zombies and then just spraying depending on the round, spread a certain amount of Winner's Howl shots. That'll be enough to kill the zombies. Over time you will notice that the Winner's Howl takes more and more shots to kill the zombies, and once you realize that change, you gotta just remember to yourself, okay, I gotta put one extra shot into the Winner's Howl in order to kill them. But usually you generally don't get too punished for not knowing, because the zombies they get extremely slow, so you do have enough time to be like, okay, I need to fire an extra shot. But anyways, that was the classified high round guy. I hope you appreciate this, and I hope that you guys do well with your high rounds as well. I'm no high round expert, but I am pretty good when it comes to just getting to like round 50 or something like that. And around 50 is generally the area I like to go. I generally don't like going around 100, because by that time it gets a bit too boring for me, and sometimes even a bit too hard for me. And round 50 is really like my like ideal time for a high round game, where it's like, yes, I'm really loving this. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully you guys do well in your classified games as well. Also, don't do what I just did. I accidentally teleported. That is certainly something you don't want to do. Be careful when you're using the katana. You don't want to accidentally jump in a teleporter, which is what I did here. And yeah. Anyways, tell me what you got with your classified high rounds in the description, and I'll talk to you later. Why did I say description? Comment section. Comment section. Tell me what rounds you got in your comment section, if you were using this strategy or not. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.